Here we go. So we're going to actually start with the physical workflow. So I'm going to start with you, Cherri. I'd love you to walk us through the 60 seconds of a transaction in your store. How does a student go about buying things, and then how do they get that item in their hand?
Okay, so we have, beginning, since students can buy from and teachers can have their own store, we actually now have two ways students can do that. So they can actually purchase something from their teacher's store. Their teachers will open that store. Students can buy things, and then all of our teachers have like a routine, like they'll fulfill those things on a Friday or a certain day of the week, so they're not doing that every day. The school store I run, and we just run different items through there, and students can buy those. I leave my store open all the time, so students can buy items every day using their LiveSchool app. We're synced through Clever, so it's really easy for them to get on their app through their Chromebook and search for items. I love to upload pictures to the store so they know exactly what it looks like, and a description, and the inventory is amazing so they know how much is available. And when they buy something from my store, they can come in during lunch. In the counselor's office, we're always available for students during lunch. Sometimes I have lunches with students, and they'll help me fulfill items as students come in. So they'll come in. All of us in the office know how to fulfill. It's so easy. We search the student, we fulfill it, we give them their item, and they're happy and they're on their way. So much easier than when we used to have to take a cart of items and go to a hallway or another room and open it up, and not all students could buy at the same time. So this makes it much easier and much more equitable for students. That's pretty much it. It's pretty easy.
Great. Yeah, I love the evolution of going from like the physical store. I know when you and I were chatting last year, you had that physical space, and you were keeping you were hoarding inventory
Yes.
from lunches so that the 5th graders wouldn't buy out everything before like the 8th graders got there.
Yes, we had to, everything was in thirds, and it was a lot of logistics to make that. And we could only run about 60 students through a 30-minute lunch, so not all students were able to buy. I was actually having to have them buy a place in line before they, before each lunch, just to get, I don't know, just to get through as many students as possible. But it's so much easier now. And I like that students are able to buy things from their teacher, because I think as a PBIS system that students should be able to be rewarded by the people who actually gave them those points. So I think that builds that relationship with the teacher. A lot of our teachers, and I'm sure we'll get to that later, are using things that don't cost them any money. It's more experiences and relationship type items. So that's really helping to build that positive relationship with their teacher. I mean, they always have a positive relationship with me. I'm the store lady or the counselor, and I don't do discipline. So, I mean, that's easy for me to build relationships. But with the teachers, I think this really helps them.
Awesome. Yeah, well, I want to dive more into your teacher stores too. Todd, let's go to you though. Can you give us a little rundown of how your store works?
Sure, thank you. My school's a middle school, 6 through 8. We have about 950 students. I set up the store with the different prizes that we have, both physical prizes and experiences. And then we redeem that on, the students can go in and purchase at any time. And the redemption days are Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. What I do is I come in the morning and I redeem the items that were purchased, and then I post it on a PowerPoint slide so I can control which kids are going to be able to pick up on that day. And then we post it during their lunch periods, and I have a little room on the side of my cafeteria. And they come in, their name's on the list, they see their name up on the board, they go up there, we check off what they got, and we hand them the stuff off the cart for physical items. And we found that works really well, and it has them in a it's systemic, so they're used to routine now, and they understand what days they can do things, and it keeps it orderly. We'll randomly redeem other things like the Uber ride from one class to another. I do that. I just show up at their classroom when they're not expecting it, and we'll do that. The teachers have their own rewards in their stores as well. I'm working on doing one for teachers also, to where they get LiveSchool points, and we're building a store out for them. But it's that Monday, Wednesday, Friday for the physical pieces. Things like sit outside at lunch. We have a breezeway that they could sit outside. They can redeem that any day of the week, and they get to bring a friend with them after they purchased it. But I find that having it in there and then I redeem it immediately, that way it's gone, right? So we don't run into that situation where, you know, they're being paid twice for something. And then they just redeem it. Now, if they don't show up to redeem it during lunch, we go back and refund the purchase afterwards. So we make sure that we balance that out.
Okay, so just to make sure I'm clear on that, instead of like unfulfilling the reward, are you actually refunding it and the student has to go back in to purchase?
Correct. Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then, so let's say it's Wednesday, so it's a redeeming day. It's Wednesday morning. So you're going in and saying, okay, essentially anybody who's purchased a reward from Monday when you last fulfilled everything, and then on Tuesday, you're just taking that whole list and using the export.
Yep.
Then
I export that to Excel,
Mhm.
and then I break it up in groups of 25 names, and I post it up, and then we redeem it in the cafe.
Got it. That's so helpful. Okay. Again, feel free to be putting in questions in the chat as you're thinking through them. Let's talk a little bit about some of those rewards. So what is actually selling and flying off your shelves right now? Cherri, let's get back to you.
So I'm glad you gave me those questions first. So I went back to the report and like, what's selling out the most? And every time it's always experiences. So the number one teacher reward is sit with a friend. So they get to sit with who they want to, either in the classroom or whatever activity they're doing, they get to sit with a friend. And then for my store, the number one is, of course, a front of the line pass. Also an experience, doesn't cost any money. We sell passes for 2 weeks of front of the line. I had a student design our front of the line pass, so he has his name on there as the illustrator because everyone needs to know who did that. So those are our two biggest prizes in both stores. So the school store that I run and also the teacher stores are experiences. After that, I would say the tangible items, because I know if you ask your kids what they want, they will invariably tell you they want experiences. So try to do those as much as possible. I want to ask more about this Uber ride from class to class because that's really cool. That sounds really cool. We have, let's see. Oh, one of our teachers, she's a genius. She has a mystery treasure box thing. They don't know what they're going to get, but they buy raffle tickets to see what it's going to be each week. And so that really is a lot of interest in what that item is going to be. She only has to sell one item, but sells a lot of raffle tickets for each period. She spins the wheel on LiveSchool and does the random student generator, and that student gets the prize. So she's pretty much a genius for that. Our other ones, let's see. The mystery treasure box is the big thing. We used to sell like snacks and candy and things at lunch, but we're trying to get away from food rewards. And we've not had any pushback from teachers or students in that area. So yeah, I'm pretty famous for the 20-point Snicker bar. And then it went to 40 points that semester. That's a question we can talk about if you want to on how to price things. I learned a lot about running a small business when I started using the LiveSchool store, 10 plus years ago. But those are our biggest. I think those experiences are the biggest rewards for kiddos.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Todd, let's go to your rewards.
I agree. The experiences are huge for the students. Our sit with a friend at lunch is a really big one where they could just, cash out and sit with anyone they want to.
Mm-hmm.
And sitting out in the breezeway for us with a friend is really big. They like to be able to get some sit outside time. Those are probably our two biggest experiences. Interestingly, the third biggest one is play a game with a teacher. I just threw that on there, and then I got a bunch of teachers that said, yeah, I'll play a game with a student, whatever. And it's like they'll spend 20 minutes with them playing Uno. Right. And they love it. I mean, they're eating that up, that they get to spend some non-academic time with the teachers and get to spend time with them as people face to face. And they're really getting a lot out of that. I also have to limit, like things like the Uber ride are popular, but I have to limit how many of them I allow out at one time because I'm the one that does them. So, I want to make sure that it's fulfilled in a timely manner and they're not waiting weeks for me to come around and go do it. From a physical perspective, we have Takis are very popular. We do use food in our store, and Takis are gone, you know, pretty quick, and ring pops. But they also like, I off Amazon, we got these motivational pencils that just have little like motivational sayings on them and stickers, and these little plastic ducks. They were like, a bag of them was really cheap, and there was like 1,000 of them, and they bought all of these ducks out in like a week. And they weren't troublesome. They weren't doing anything crazy with them and throwing them or anything. They had them, and they would, you know, they went through. But I would say the experience is first, and then, you know, you just ask them what they want. They'll tell you, like, I like stickers, or I like pencils, or, you know, I want to spend 5 minutes with the principal, that kind of thing. They'll let you know what they want to do.
I think that's very important to ask the students so that they have buy-in, and they're excited about the prizes because they actually had the idea for it. Like, this was my idea, so they want to work for it.
Absolutely.
We've got some questions about the Uber ride. So can you be specific about what that is? Okay,
so they purchase the Uber ride, and then I look at their schedule, and then I have one of these carts like this, kind of a big one, and I have a pretty good JBL. I play music all the time in the hallways in between class changes. This thing's always with me, so I have that, and I roll up to their class a couple minutes before the end of the bell, and I call them out, and they come out and they say, what song you want to play, and they tell me, and they sit in the cart, and I blast that as we go through the hallway. And when bell change happens, we're going through the hallways with the other 1,000 kids walking around, and they get a lot of attention, but they love it. Like, it's kind of like being on a parade float. And I'll roll, and I try to personally pick where they have their two classes that are furthest away from each other, so they get some value out of it. To go to PE and our arts, we have to go to a second building, so I try to take them out of the first building, and they get all that exposure. And, you know, it takes 4 minutes to do it, but they really, really enjoy that.
I like that.
It's fun.
I'm adding that.
Cool.
Well, that's funny because I have one of those wagons from my 2- and 4-year-olds. So glad to know it'll work.
Yeah, we got that from Travel Ball, right? We've had that for years, and it's like, let's repurpose it.
Exactly. Okay, and then Cullen was asking about the inventory side of it. So, like, for the Uber rides, do you set an inventory for that so it doesn't get purchased too often or too many
Correct,
times?
right. So I maintain inventory for everything, and I'll limit. So I'll put 5 out at a time, let's say, for the Uber ride, and then as I fulfill a few of them, then I'll add a few more in, and I just every day I do a check-in on my inventory in LiveSchool. And the same is true for things like Takis. If I have 100 Takis, I don't put them all out for sale in the same time, because they'll just get eaten up. So I might put 10 out at a time, and then just let it flow over the course. And it builds a little anticipation, and makes them a little hungrier to get it. And it also stretches the amount of items that we have as well. But I work that inventory every day for about 5 to 10 minutes, just reviewing and scanning. And same thing with pricing, working through the pricing models and everything.
Yeah, speaking of pricing, I learned a lot about supply and demand, which is exactly what you're talking about. Takis were way more expensive than anything else because they're the most sought after item. And then you have to kind of go from there and work that inventory. So I learned a lot about that. And the way that we have found to keep prices pretty much the same is every year when we go going over our LiveSchool procedures, we ask teachers to do 1 point, 1 comment. So you don't need a bunch of positive, pluses. What the students are looking for are the comments. So choose a behavior, add a comment, and then 1 point. And if teachers are using 1 point, 1 comment, then the process kind of level out, and we don't have students with 1,000 points and some with 100 points, because some teachers are just way more like think they need more points to really what the students are looking at the comments for real. They keep up with those. And that's how we kind of keep our process leveled out is I should have prepared that, but we even have a card on our lanyards that have the LiveSchool procedures on there so that everyone knows what they are, and they have that kind of go-to to look at and see, hey, oh yeah, it's 1 point, 1 comment. We've made a cheer up for that. It's 1 point, 1 comment, 1 point, 1 comment. not 200 points, no comment.
So that's from the teacher's point of view. So you're just wanting them to recognize one student or multiple students just with one thing that they've done with a comment.
Right. Yes.
Okay.
So yeah, you can recognize your whole class, but each student doesn't need 200 points. Just 1 point for that particular thing that you're recognizing them for, or behavior that you want to reinforce.
Got it. And then Amy Rodriguez is wondering, how do you determine how many points each item is worth then?
Supply and demand.
Yeah. We're the chief economists of the LiveSchool land, is what I tell folks. Is it's like you're joining the Central Reserve. I just started off with some point values and watched how it flowed and saw what the reaction was to it. I'll escalate a price if something's getting too hot in the store. I'll raise the price on it. And you'll get feedback from the students. I try to get I cover the lunches too, so I get to spend time talking to the students about the LiveSchool. So I say, how do you feel about this? And they'll tell you, man, you just raised that price too much. Like, I'm not, like, that's too much. And then working that feedback, and it'll ebb and flow over time. There's no perfect formula for how you price it. But I say you price it enough so that they have to engage in multiple positive behaviors in order to earn something, but not too high to whereas it's unattainable and they feel like, why bother, right? Yeah. And you can work through that, as you go.
Absolutely. I'll look through the students' point values to see how much is in their bank account to kind of gauge exactly what you said. You want them to reach a little bit, but not be too unattainable. Yeah, exactly. Just takes practice.
And it sounds like you shouldn't be scared to change the price in the middle of the year.
Okay, it's definitely okay.
Not at all. And it's an economics lesson for them too, honestly. As you said, supply and demand, and understanding that prices do fluctuate, and sometimes you got to strike while they aren't hot too.
And items that you don't have a lot of, like I make some crochet amigurumi things to put in the store, and well, there's only one, so it's a very high price since there's only one and it's handmade, and students are competing for that. And then you get some of those students who are spenders and savers. You can recognize them very quickly. The ones who are going to, as soon as they have 2 points in their account, they're going to spend it. And then I have kiddos who will wait for the whole year and then spend dollar points at the end of the year on some big item. We have a holiday silent auctions they spend their points on. At the end of the year, we have a big auction as well. So it's so neat to identify spenders and savers in the 6th grade. You know exactly what they're going to be like as adults.
And I added two from the prizes and the more expensive ones. I have a donut party that I added and a pizza party, right? Where they'll get called out in a second period, and we'll do that. And I told them, once I have 50 people that have bought into this, then we'll hold it in the cafe. And I mean, it's like 200 points. It's a significant point value for them, and they're saving up and going for it. Like they want to get called out and sit in that donut party and do that. So it's pretty cool to see them doing that and reserving that.
It's just great to be able to hit each student's motivational factor. Like some, they want that immediate reinforcement, and some really just want to see the comments, and some don't ever even spend their points. They don't need that tangible item or even experience. They just like to see the points and stack them up. So that way you're hitting all of everyone's motivation instead of just a few. Really helps when you're a PBIS based school.
Okay, my next question, Colin's kind of getting at it, so I'm going to kind of combine his with mine. So Colin's wondering, what moves did you make to align the staff on store usage, creating rewards and norming of point value? And Todd, I know, being that this is your first year with LiveSchool, I think that's also getting buy-in from your teachers and that initial training and conversation. What are some things that you did specifically this year that got everyone on board and on the same page?
Yeah, one of the key things for me was I didn't want to over-index on it from the beginning, and I didn't want to make this another program and another requirement and put more weight on the shoulders of the teachers. The idea was to relieve pressure from the teachers from using paper passes and manually tracking everything. So I personally didn't launch this as a hard and fast must do where you have to go after, I didn't really want to do that. So we had conversations with the teachers about, here's a program that we're implementing. We believe that it's going to help us with behaviors overall and give us a great way to recognize students. And I didn't make demands of point values and when you have to and when you shouldn't. I gave some guidelines. I said, if they're doing it, we have the PBIS behaviors that are listed in things. So listen, if someone's doing a good job on something, reward them. Real simple, just reward them. I'm not going to tell you have to give out 20 points a day or 50 points a day or 100 points a day. I'll monitor it. And if you're executing and you're doing well and it looks like it's working, great. If not, then I'll have a little side conversation that goes, hey, I noticed that LiveSchool's lagging a little bit. Like, how can I help you with it? Right? What are you seeing? What's your frustration point? You know, where do you see value? Where don't you see value? And we have the conversation about it, and we figure out how we can help motivate them to, you know, participate a little more for the stragglers. But it was really not a hard and fast hammer down type new program or process. I didn't want it to be flavor of the month, where some folks will just wait for it to go away, because we tend to do that. And the feedback from the vast majority of the team has been that they appreciated that they liked the fact that it wasn't too tight, and that they can ease their way into it and start using it. So
Awesome.
Yeah, same for us. Same for us. So we've been using it for so long; it's just part of our culture now. But in the beginning, I do remember using it just like we would with the students. The teachers who used it the most, we reinforced. And the ones who didn't, we had those conversations as well. How can we help? How do you see value in this? And also the teachers that had their own stories about how well it worked, that just kind of filters through everyone else. They're like, oh, I want to get on board with this too. But with the schools, we've always had a school store, not a teacher store. So for that, I just looked at, our LiveSchool team, we looked at our teachers who use the most, and I let them go on Amazon and choose the items that they wanted. And we have a partner in education who funds that. I just send them the Amazon link, and the boxes arrive. And then they get to, I have a place in my office. They come shop for whatever they want for their store. I just deliver it to them directly. And then they'll change however the students the pencils are big. We have smelly pencils that they love, little backpack keychains, because we're a backpack school. They love those. Stress balls, fidget things, they love those. So those are flying off the shelf. These pens, I had no idea. I don't know if you can see it. It's a little, you remember we used to have these when I was a kid, that they changed colors, and they love these things. We had to raise the price on these because they were so high. Sometimes you can't tell what's going to be the hot item, but that's how, and it's fun. The teachers, hey, who doesn't love to play store? I loved playing store when I was a kid. My co-counselor came on board last year. She's like, this is the most fun I've ever had. When we had our little physical store, she loved it. So I think the teachers are liking it because it's fun to play store too, you know, and the kids like it, and they're building a relationship.
Awesome. Okay, so we have about 4 minutes left, so I want to open it up to the audience on the call. If you have a question that you don't want to type into the chat, you can just raise your hand or come off mute and ask away. Yes, Denise.
Sorry. Hi. I was the one that asked the question. So I did miss a little bit of the beginning, but are your guys' stores open during the day? Like, for example, lunchtime, or I don't know if you talked about how the students come and get their items.
Todd's got a great system for that.
Yeah, we redeem on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays for anything that would come off the physical cart during lunch. So we'll post up the names of the students that have purchased, let's say Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday morning. And then they go over to a spot in our cafe and they redeem their items there.
So it's only those list of students that go.
Correct, right? Because what I didn't want to do was get into a position where we're actually having them purchase there in the cafe from a time perspective. It just wouldn't work. So it's just preset to where they're basically walking over and picking up the item that they've purchased.
Yeah, so they've already purchased on LiveSchool, on their LiveSchool recap. They've identified what they're purchasing. And so Todd has the list of who's purchased what, and that's how he decides who's coming on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
Okay, yeah, because right now we're opening it up to all students during lunch, and it's starting to become a little overwhelming in terms of time. So, and Todd, you're the only one that does that? Are you like the sole person in charge of the store?
Yeah, so I run the whole, the electronic version of the store and all the back end pieces of it. And then I use students to do the redemption and everything in the cafeteria. So that's all student run. I take volunteers. I give them LiveSchool points for running the store. Usually we'll have 3 in there. One works a table, one works the cart, and the other kind of keeps the line going. And they self-manage it, and they run with it.
Got it. Thank you.
Fred has a similar question. He was wondering, how will you run a purchase and delivery of items if you cannot run a physical store due to the school size? Todd, your school is almost 1,000 students.
700. Mhm.
Yeah, so you both have pretty big schools. It sounds like the fact that students are purchasing themselves on their own time
Mhm.
through their own devices is kind of what makes it so that the fulfillment just goes a lot faster.
Yeah, we wouldn't be able to do it without, I'm sorry, we wouldn't be able to do that without it. I mean, the steps, the way we're following is the only way we could fulfill at the volume that we're fulfilling things.
We had a physical store at lunch. It was actually our concession stand, and students would stand there and try to decide what they wanted, and it was hard. I can't believe we would get 60 or 70 students through at a time, but we did. But it was a lot of logistics. This really simplifies that they're able to go ahead and see what you're offering ahead of time and then buy those items, and then all you're doing is fulfilling them. So it's much easier. And I like that. I had to give up, Todd. You got this big store, man. I'm telling you, it's going to get bigger. And I think when your teachers start taking over their own stores, they're really going to like that too. And that's what helped us with the teachers taking over their own stores. And it was so easy. LiveSchool really laid out exactly how to do it. Our teachers had no problem implementing it. I answered a couple questions, and that was it. So the more you can get your teachers involved in those stores, I think that's gonna be a big deal too. But I still want to ride that Uber cart.
Yeah, so we have some questions about just like the logistics side of this and how it all works in LiveSchool. So the student purchasing happens in the recap, and there's a few different ways the students can get to the recap. Cherri, you mentioned you guys are on Clever. Todd, how are you all set up?
ClassLink.
ClassLink. Okay, so you both are doing syncing. So students can click on ClassLink or click on Clever and log into LiveSchool that way. If you're not syncing, then there's also the QR badges that you can print these off and have students scan those, or you can have them set up their own accounts in LiveSchool. And all of those options get them to their recap where they can see the data. And like Cherri mentioned, like look at those comments, hopefully, that like give them more feedback on what they're doing well and how they can get more points. And then on the store tab, it lets them actually purchase items that they have enough points for. And then Colin, I can get you more information about the fulfillment screen and how that all works. Okay, Celia is asking, does anyone else have issues with students placing orders and negative points show? We are, if that is still happening, please get with us, because there have been a few different ways, kids are tricky, that they have figured out how to go negative in their balances, and we are just fixing those as fast as possible. So let us know if you know specifically how they're doing that, because we are putting just like supports in place to ensure that that cannot happen, so that when they purchase an item, it's the one item and they have enough points for that.
And I don't find out until kind of after the fact. So
Yeah.
like the hot item right now is the gingerbread houses. So everyone ordered that, but then before I placed the order, I realized, oh, they've got negative points. So they didn't have enough points. So I'll reach out and do a help ticket and
That'd be great.
jump on an individual call. Thank you for that.
Yeah. And then Fred is asking, can you restrict store shopping to one grade level at a time? Not currently. If you open the school store, it opens for everybody, but we are working on some options there that should come out in the new year. So hopefully we'll make it easier to have like grade by grade shopping.
Todd, did you love it when a student doesn't pick up their item, you hit that refund and your inventory automatically adjusts? Like,
Yeah,
I didn't know that was going to happen, and I'm like, I'm gonna have to go back in, and no, it
Saves
boom,
the step.
automatically redid your inventory and put those things back in the store. I'm just like, genius.
Yeah,
That's great.
it's beautiful.
Yeah.
This store is really, I mean, the idea that the store was coming in is the reason that pushed me to take the system on, to be honest. It just makes everything so much easier. It's more attractive for the students, and the back end management of it, like you said, you know, you refund it, you get the piece back in stock. It's really easy. It's so cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Are there any other questions for our panelists? Great. Okay, thank you so much again for your time and everyone for joining us. We did record this session, so I'm going to send it along with some additional resources to help. And then feel free to reach out to our team at any time. If you click on the help icon in the top right corner of LiveSchool, you can chat with our team or schedule a one-on-one call if you're wanting to like talk specifically about your school's site. And we're here to help. So happy holidays, everyone. Thanks again for joining
Happy
us.
holidays, everyone. Happy New Year.
Bye.
Bye.